Hey everyone, I am here with Lauren Walton of ACM. We are going to talk today if you're somebody who's looking to buy and not sure where your credit score lands or why credit score is important in that purchase. We're going to break that down in today's video and give you some really great tools to help you for your purchase of your next home. Okay, so as I mentioned, Lauren, we are going to talk all things credit score today. So first and foremost, can you just let the viewer know why credit score is so important in purchasing a home?
Yeah, that's a great question. So credit is a direct reflection of what interest rate you're going to get, what your monthly PMI, which is private mortgage insurance, is going to be, and both of those things directly reflect on your payment. So if you care about payment, then you're going to want to care about interest rate, PMI, and then therefore care about what your credit score is. That is all a direct reflection of what payment you're going to get, and we know how important payment is.
And I have buyers all the time that will come to me and they'll be like, hey, my credit score is this. I don't think it's high enough, but actually it meets the minimum of various loan products. Can you break down, I know we've talked about it in other videos, but just break down at a high level, what the various loan products are and what your credit score needs to be at minimum for those.
Yes, that's a great question too. So conventional is going to be 620, and then for FHA and VA, it's 500. And so oftentimes I get the same, objection from people. They think their credit has to be 700 or 750 or whatever it might be. So you may be surprised to find out that the credit limits are actually lower than many people do think. And so it's always worth having it checked. Not to mention a lot of those free credit reporting tools that are out there, they're not always a direct reflection of what your mortgage FICO really is. And so you want to have a lender do your credit pool, and up front it's a soft pool, and so there's no negative impact to your credit at all. But it's not great to rely on some of those free credit reporting tools. They may not be a good reflection of the score.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, you talked about having the lender pull your credit up front. If somebody's coming and, maybe they have their credit score is on the low end, bringing it up maybe 20 points or something like that could make a big difference. Like, what does that credit score affect as far as the rate that they're going to get on these loan products?
Yeah. So credit works in 20-point increments. And so, it really can make a big difference to just improve your score 20 points or 40 points. And with a lot of the tools that we have, we can really, really help the client be able to move their score up. But it can affect exactly what interest rate you get, your PMI amount, your payment. And so just tweaking your score just a little bit will really make a difference in the monthly payment.
Exactly. And that is something that we work with our buyers a lot. They say, hey, I'm not looking to buy right now, but maybe down the road, I'm going to work on my credit on my own, and then I'll come back to you guys. And that is like the first little, I don't want to say red flag, but hey, no, let's help them out, because we just talked about it, and we talk about it often whenever somebody tries to take a stab at their credit on their own, how it can be pretty ineffective.
Yes.
And there's better tools and strategies out there. So can you talk through kind of some of those tools?
Yeah, so we have third-party credit enhancement, credit improvement companies that we contract through that we can help our buyers. And I get this all the time. Like Nathan said, clients will be trying to work on their credit on their own. And once we get involved, we can really make a bigger impact in a lot more efficient way. And a lot of times it ends up saving the client a lot of money. So the tools that we utilize, we will run a credit report and we will see what your score is right now. And then we can run a simulator tool to tell us exactly what you need to do to either get to a qualifiable credit score or just to the next tier, maybe the tier over that, because again, that's going to directly impact your payment and your rate. But we run the simulator tool and it'll tell us exact instructions on what you need to do. Oftentimes it ends up being different than what the buyer thought. So the buyer may think they just need to pay off all of their debt. And typically that is not the case. So usually it would recommend paying down some credit cards to get you to a certain utilization percentage. So usually we want credit utilization to be about 25 to 35%. So typically it could be just paying down to that level, not all the way, to zero, but just paying down to get your utilization down. I've also seen adding a trade line to a client that maybe has a spouse that has a credit card that's been open for a significant longer period of time than what that client has, they can add to their spouse's, be an authorized user on their spouse's credit card, and all of a sudden now they show a much longer credit history, which goes into your score as well. It could be as simple as increasing your credit limit. So if, let's just say, for example, you borrow $3,000 on your credit card every month and you have a $6,000 limit, that's going to show that every month you're at a 50% utilization on that card. Maybe you could increase that limit to $10,000 or $12,000, and if you are disciplined enough not to borrow the extra, you're going to show that you have a much better credit utilization, which is going to improve your score. Obviously, if there's lates or there's collections, bringing those items current can really help, but it's really just getting the understanding and the full picture of where you are right now and what it's going to take to get you to the score we want you to be by the time you're ready to make an offer and lock in a rate and get to closing. And so it's really important to have that conversation, honestly, as soon as possible. Even if you don't think you're going to be ready to buy for 6 months, 12 months, to understand your credit picture today and for us to come up with a plan and a strategy to get you where you need to be.
And if you've been watching for a while now, you know that Lauren and I are all about strategy and setting up the right strategy for you. And this is the very first strategy that we're looking at. So again, making sure that we set you up best so that you have success throughout the whole home buying process is really our goal at the end of the day. And these small little steps, and again, making sure that you have somebody on your side that understands the process and knows exactly where you need to be in order to get that best rate, is going to be so advantageous in the long run.
And I feel like a lot of the themes of our videos are about preparation and doing so far in advance. And so that goes along with this too. Like, I have clients that don't reach out sometimes until they find a house and they're ready to make an offer, and then we find out that the credit's not where it needs to be. And that could either mean that they're not going to be able to get the loan at all, or it could just mean that they can get the loan but not at the best rate, not at the best payment, because we didn't do the steps ahead of time to prepare them and to get their credit in the best spot. So along with all the other things that we mentioned about getting yourselves prepared, like, credit is huge, because you don't want to be kicking yourself when you're like, shoot, I could have got my score up, I could have gotten a better rate, lower payment, but we don't have the time now to do that. So it's really important to do it as far in advance as you can, so that you're in the best possible position.
Definitely. So if you're somebody who is looking to buy within the next few months, to a year, we would love to have a conversation with you. Obviously, reach out to myself or Lauren. We'll set up a one-on-one consult, kind of walk you through that whole process and make sure that you have every tool that you need to make sure that you have the best success in purchasing your home. As always, I am C-Bus Nathan. I put out videos every Friday. Make sure that you like, subscribe, follow along, and until next week, have a great week.